Hello Flosstube and welcome back to my channel. I am Ros Clark. This is Ros Clark Craft, which is my little home on YouTube. This is my home in real life. I'm filming slightly different angle today. So my chair is basically in its usual spot, but I've sort of swung it around. So now you get the pleasure of my bright pink polka dot curtain as my background, which I feel is quite on brand for me. I love this curtain. I was very pleased with myself when I got it. So my home is a conversion of some old rundown buildings which had been used for various non-glamorous things. And so when it was being converted, and I was sort of, at that point I had no furniture really. I lived in rented accommodation with sort of borrowed furniture and cheap charity shop furniture, and it had all sort of ended up, you know, more or less living out of suitcases. That makes it sound a lot worse than it was. But anyway, I'd never had a place of my own. At that point, I didn't have furniture of my own. So anyway, I knew I wanted a sofa, and I had been with a friend to go and look at sofas, and I'd worked out, it's very tiny, my house, exactly how big the sofa could be and therefore which one I wanted. And we were going through the sort of fabric swatches, and we all went, oh, that one, when we got to one that was labelled hot pink. And it was lovely. So I'd ordered that, and then a few weeks later, in a different place, in a different shop, I saw this fabric, and I'm like, that's the pink, that is the same pink. And it was a slightly nerve-wracking wait for the sofa to arrive and the sofa and the curtain fabric to be in the same room at the same time. But I was very pleased with myself because it was really exactly the same pink. And then I made the curtains to fit, because it's a very non-standard house with very non-standard windows. This is actually a door behind this one, so they're floor-length curtains. Anyway, that's quite a long introduction about my curtains, which you probably never needed to know. Right, if you have been following my Instagram stories, you'll know that I did try and film Flosstube a week ago, and I've just not been able to upload it. And the one time I did get it to upload, I was in my office where I have much faster internet, and I thought, well, I'll just try. And it did upload, and then YouTube were like, we can't process this. So I don't know quite what happened. My software that I've been using for years I think it's had an upgrade, which means it no longer publishes directly to YouTube, and I just couldn't work out how to make it do it at all. So anyway, what I'm doing, I think that whole file is now no longer usable. So I'm re-recording. I'm going to record it instead of one long hour and 20-minute episode, which that was. I'm going to do 3 shorter episodes, and I'm going to try a different way of editing them or not editing them. I'm going to try and edit because particularly for this one, I know I want to put some pictures in if I possibly can. So the plan is that there will be 3 20-25-minute episodes coming up in the next few days. This one, I'm going to talk about my recent stitching finishes, works in progress, sort of fully finishes. In the next one, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've received, but also the plans that I have. And there is a giveaway. I think I might do the giveaway in this one actually, just because I want to get it out there, because it's quite time specific, or at least part of it's quite time specific. So I think I've got the things here. Yeah, I might do that in this one as well. So the next one will be plans, which includes details of a forthcoming stitch along that I'm working on, what I'm going to be doing for Advent, and that sort of thing. But also I was at Stitch in London, and I'm going to talk about some of the amazing things that I received. And then the final one is, I guess, it's kind of channel update and thinky thoughts, I guess, will that be. There is some news about what's happening with Patreon. I mean, spoiler alert, not very much, but I do need to talk about that a little bit. I also want to talk about multi-crafting and how that might impact on the channel, and I'm going to be showing you some of the things that I have been working on recently that are not cross-stitch. So, I mean, you don't have to watch all 3 if you're not interested in them, but if you are, that is hopefully what is going to be coming in the next few days, depending when you get this. So let's start with some stitching. So I'm going to start with the most recent first because that's where I'm at with this. This is my most recent project that I have finished. There we go. Oh, I think I worked out, I haven't really got anything to lean this against. That was badly done, wasn't it? Let's see if this works. There we go. I find if I just lean it at this angle, I think I'm getting better. You know, that's all quite shaded, but if I do it like that, hopefully you can see that in all its glory. So obviously this was a piece celebrating Stitch in London. It is based on, and I'll show you in a minute, based on, very much inspired by, in classic Roz style, one of Yasmin Made with London's Stitch in London charts. So this year at Stitch in London, we didn't have a kit included in the retreat, but there were optional things you could order. There were various optional things you could order. You could order needle minders that Laura from Cotton and Clay had done for Stitch in London 2024. You could order, I can't remember what else you could order, but there were various things. Oh, Roxy Floss you could order. You could order Roxy Floss to do the retreat charts if you wanted, but also you could order it more generally. And if you wanted, you could order this, which is what I pre-ordered. So this is from Yasmin's Made with Love, Stitch in London 2024 booklet, and it includes 3 charts. You can see they're sort of related but not identical designs, depending whether you want to do the smaller pincushion, the sampler, or you could also include in your order one of these boxes, hand painted beautifully by Yasmin, and then this chart, which is designed to fit on the top. But I mean, obviously you could frame it separately if that's what you wanted to do. So when I got to Stitch in London, I'd been working really hard on my smalls exchange, and I just didn't have any whips that were in a place where, you know, like I've got my Gecko Rouge, but I'm not going to take that to retreat. That would be asking for trouble. There wasn't anything that was like, oh yeah, that would be good retreat stitching. So in the end, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to take some stuff. I did take one thing, Spring Wreath, Tiny Modernist, that I've been working on since spring, but I was like, I don't really want to work on that. It's not spring. So I thought, well, do you know what, I'll just stitch the retreat piece. And I had some fabric with me, and I hadn't really taken any floss, but I knew there was going to be floss on sale. There's amazing Letitia from Corey's Little Creations, which if you've been watching the channel for ages, you may remember I had an advent calendar from Corey's Little Creations a few years ago. And at that point, she was mostly specialising in gold work threads and fine embroidery threads. And she's really expanded her range now. So she's got a number of fancy flosses, and in particular on her stall she had a number of different silks. She had needlepoint ink, so NPI silks, she had some Gloriana, she had some Avera Soie, and she also had some Krynic silks, which I'd not come across before. And as I was looking, I'm like, I love the colours of those. So this is stitched. I think the fabric is Fox and Rabbit Ballet Slipper. Although I think it's a 36 count, Fox and Rabbit Ballet Slipper. I'm pretty sure that's right. I mean, you know, don't sue me if it's not, but I think it is. And then it's stitched with 2 colours of Krynic silk, which I have not got the things with me. And I don't know if I still have them actually. I did make adjustments. You will be shocked and horrified to hear that I didn't stitch it precisely as charted. So they were all charted, I think they were all charted as monochrome. Not quite, but pretty much. But actually I thought, well, it'd be fun to do it in more than one colour because, you know, why not? And in the end, that was a very good decision because as it turned out, I only bought 1 skein of each. And the reason why these borders don't have this border pattern, because I was going to do that, is because I literally ran out of thread. I've got 1 strand of 1 length of red thread left, slightly more of the fuchsia, but not a whole lot. So I definitely didn't have enough to stitch the whole thing as charted. So I missed out. There's a bit here that says welcome. It's good, I've got it on the back of the book so I can look and see what I've missed out. I really wanted to do the kettle here, so that was lovely. I slightly changed down here, so, well, I did a big change, so I only did one of these ladies, and I slightly changed her hair. and I put the heart, which is charted by Yaz, but not in there. She's got a little bit that says SIL 24 in there, but I was like, well, it already says Stitch in London, so I'm not gonna worry about that. So I put the little heart in there, and then these are all the initials of my table mates. Big up table 2. We had a great time on table 2. It was a really lovely table to be on. That is Essie is Sarah from Sew Me Sarah, and Noreen next to her. Leanne was I think it was her first ever retreat, and it was just lovely to meet her. She was great. Claire, that's CB from Creative Crafty Claire, Crafty Creative Claire, something like that. I can't now remember which way around. And Kay is Karen. Dixie loves Karen. She's sweet. She's somebody who's watched my Flosstubes and commented. And then the other S is Sam from Samantha and Stitches over on Instagram. So that was really fun. And then I just ended up with this extra bit of space here because I sort of needed the right length to fit the bottom border in. So I put in a couple of teacups to go with the kettle. So that is my Stitch in London stitch. That is a finish. It is not obviously a fully finished. I'm toying with an idea for finishing it, but it won't happen anytime soon. I really enjoy stitching it, and I'm really glad, although it did mean I nearly ran out of thread, I'm really glad I did do 2 over 2 on the 36 count, because it just, with these really vibrant colours, it just looks fab. It just really, really looks fabulous. And celebratory of a really lovely weekend at Stitch in London. So that's my first finish. This is my second finish, which I'm quite excited about because it's sort of a finish for me, but also not really. This is my Ink Circles Round Robin piece from this year. This is Red-Headed Bee from Ink Circles. I just love it. So I stitched the first quarter of this, and genuinely, I don't know which one that was, and then sent it off on its travels, and it ended up with Lizzie of This Mrs. Fisher Stitches, and she was at Stitch in London Weekend 1, so she left this for me with Marie, who presented me with it on the first evening of Stitch in London Weekend 2. And it was so exciting because I'd forgotten. I knew Lizzie had said she was going to be sending on the next thing that I have to work on, but I'd sort of forgotten. I did know she'd finish this, but yeah, that it was coming. So it was very, very exciting. I stitched this in 3 shades from Classic Colourworks. The red is Ruby Slippers. The green is Frog's Legs, that one anyway. And then the sort of fill-in colour is Hayride. And I think that works really nicely. I've got an idea in mind for how I'm going to finish this. I need to have a play and see, and if it works, I will maybe do a little tutorial on it because I think it could be quite fun and different. But we'll see. But for now, I'm just really delighted to have that back and finished. I say sort of a finish. Obviously, I didn't finish this, and I do still have, which I'm about to show you, my last quarter of somebody else's round robin. So I feel like I can't really count this as a finish till that one is finished. Good. I do have 2 fully finishes that have happened recently, but I haven't got either of them to show you, and I didn't really take photos either. So I did 2 smalls pieces for Smalls Exchange for Stitch in London, yeah, for reasons. So I did do a version of Sweater Weather from October House Fibre Arts. This is what the chart looks like. This is the most finished in progress photo I've got, and you can see it's not very finished. I knew how I wanted to do the fully finish on this. I wanted to do it sort of as a pillow. I had some really lovely flannel, cotton flannel, tartan in sort of pink and turquoise and blue, and so I thought, well, that's what I want to use, so it'll be lovely and cozy. And I actually quilted that as well when I made the backing for it, and I found a piece of fabric that I thought was going to work really nicely for the stitching, but it wasn't quite big enough, so it wasn't far off. So I got all of the Sweater Weather writing in without any problem. I just took out one of the stars, and then that was fine. I decided I wasn't going to do the wavy bits at the top and bottom. So then it was just the jumpers themselves. And I worked out that if I didn't do them so they were like, you know, this, but actually, I mean, you can't see, but, you know, sleeves down, then I could fit 3 jumpers in. So that's what I did. I slightly recharted the jumpers. And then because I'm me and I don't know what it is about pattern following, but I'm rubbish at it. So I just sort of stitched my own designs on the Christmas jumpers. But anyway, they're fine. And so then I finished it, like I say, into a pillow. But what I did, instead of just doing it as a pillow and stuffing it, I did an envelope back and an inner pouch that you can take in and out. I say I did, I didn't. What I did for the pouch was I ordered from Amazon, I think from Amazon, a microwavable pouch of wheat and lavender. So you can, I mean, you could microwave the whole thing, but also you can take the pouch out and microwave it and put it back in, or if something happens and it overheats, you can replace the pouch. Or, you know, if you prefer, you could just put stuffing in and have it as a pillow. But I just thought that was quite a fun, cozy thing for sweater weather, to have something lovely and cozy and with the flannel on the back, and then it's a little heatable pillow that you can sort of rest your hand on while you're stitching, or have on your lap, or I don't know what you want to do with it. I mean, it's only, you know, it's only little, it's a small, so it's not going to be a replacement hot water bottle, but it was fun to do anyway. And it was fun to do as a smalls exchange and get little sort of cozy things to go with it. I found a mini hot water bottle and a little candle and a mug that said, I can't remember, something about being cozy on it, and, you know, really nice sort of huggy kind of mug. So that was really fun. And then I also did a version of this, which is a piece from a recent magazine. I think it was CrossStitcher. I'm going to say it was CrossStitcher Magazine. And I just changed the colour slightly because I wanted the bird to have more sort of realistic bird colours. And then I don't quite know why at this stage, I can't quite remember, but I did change the outer leafy bits for reasons that I now can't remember. And I finished that into a needle book with a I found a nice idea online where you can, you know, when you're making the inside of your needle book, you can make little pockets in it and then also add in the felt in the middle of the needles. So I did that, and I tucked in a packet of needles, but also a number of sort of bird themed and sewing themed notions to go with that. So I really enjoyed doing both of those. I completely failed, as you see, to take even photos, let alone video, to tell you about that. Anyway, those are all my finishes. Are they? Well, I don't know. I can't really remember, to be honest, what I have done since I last saw you. Those are all the things I've been doing lately. Let me just show you what I'm working on right now. 2 seconds. I say 2 seconds. Normally I might edit like that. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to edit this or not because my software has been such a disaster, which is why I'm doing this shorter version of it. So you may just be getting raw, unedited footage. We will see. We will see. Anyway, I've got some recommendations from other people about software they use, so we might do that. So this is the final Ink Circles round robin, and you can see I'm working on the last horse down here. This is Horseplay, again, obviously by Tracy Horner from Ink Circles. Isn't it fun? Do you know, it's been such a fun thing doing this round robin, and if you have any interest at all in these sort of symmetrical designs, which I certainly associate with Ink Circles, but there may well be other designers who do something similar, I would highly recommend a round robin. It's just been really fun this year to get to stitch on 4 completely different designs, completely different colorways, and yeah, just really no opportunity to get bored. Whereas if you're doing that and you have to stitch essentially the same thing 4 times, I mean, this one is at least has different colorways in each quarter, but most of them don't. You know, my red-headed bee, it's literally the same thing 4 times, but I've only had to stitch that once, and then I've got to stitch 3 other completely different designs. And you know, not all of them have been ones that I necessarily would have picked myself, but it doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed stitching on them. I don't think I'd have ever done this one, but it's actually really fun. And this is, I think this is Kath's. I ought to have checked before, but anyway, we are stitching this one for her on a 28 count even weave, which I can't remember the last time I stitched on a 28 count even weave. And when I first got it, I'm like, gosh, this one's enormous. And then I'm like, no, it's just on quite large gauge fabric, and so it's actually going quite quickly, as you would expect, because the stitches are quite large. So I'm really enjoying it. This has just been 2 or 3 days work. I'm hoping to finish it this weekend and then turn it off, and then I can say properly I am finished. I don't know that I'm going to do a round robin next year. I found it a little bit stressful with all the life that has happened this year, also having other people's stitching. And you know, I had a stressful bit where I lost one of Lizzie's threads, and I was very late with one of mine, and we'd given ourselves loads of time and it was all quite relaxed, but nonetheless, I don't know if I can cope with another round of that sort of stitching. But in principle, I really love it, and I would highly recommend doing that sort of round robin thing. I mean, you don't have to do it with an ink circles design. I think I was watching the Hygge Stitcher, and she was doing a sort of a round robin with 2 or 3 friends, where they just each chosen one of their works in progress that they weren't making a lot of progress on, and they sort of sent those around to each other, and it was a sort of stitch as much as you want before you send it on to the next person. And again, I thought that was a really lovely idea to kind of, because then you get it back, it's quite a lot further on, you haven't had to do it all, but then there's the real motivation because other people have worked on it to say, but I really want to finish this now. So, and it just is, yeah, it's just been a lovely sort of collaborative project. And then you've got memories of other people and those friendships in your work as well. And knowing that, I think what I like more than anything, I mean, I do love having this mat, but I love the idea that my stitching is sort of, its tentacles are spreading. That's an awful image. In a nice way, my stitching tentacles are spreading. I don't know how we would say that. Right, I think it's probably time to move on from that now. So I do have plans for what I'm going to be stitching in November and December, and plans, like I said, for a stitch along that will be forthcoming in 2025, and all sorts of good stuff, and lots of lovely things to show you from Stitch in London. I won a really fabulous prize while I was there, and also had some lovely gifts, and I might have made some purchases. I mean, you know, it'd be rude not to. But like I said, I'm going to do that in a different video. What I am going to talk about now is this. So I really like Advent. Advent, I don't know if you know this, I'm not going to do my whole hobby horse about this, but just to say, in the Christian year, Advent is a very different season from Christmas. Advent is not primarily about Christmas. There's a little bit of it that's looking forward to Christmas, but mainly it's about looking forward beyond that. And then Christmas is its own liturgical season, which begins on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, depending how you count it, and goes until Twelfth Night. So I'm not very big on let's do lots of Christmas in Advent, but I am quite big on let's do lots of Advent in Advent. And for the last few years, I've had, well, a couple of years ago, one of the things I've had is a very beautiful Advent calendar that is just the kind where you open windows, you know, no chocolates, no perfumes, no beauty products, no presents. And I really liked it, and I've used it twice, and this year I thought, well, I'll treat myself to a new one from the same artist. And as I was browsing through the website at about midnight, I saw another design of hers. I sort of picked the one that I was going to have, and I saw another design. I thought, oh, you know, that looks like my friend's dog on that. Maybe I'll get that as a present for her. Anyway, I don't know what I was thinking in the middle of the night, because that one came, and it's lovely, but there are no dogs on it. There are no dogs on it. This is a hare, and these are a deer. And I'm like, I just don't think I'm going to give that to her and say, so I was thinking of you when I bought this. And she'd be like, why? And I'll be like, well, in the middle of the night, I think I saw an imaginary dog on it. And she'd be like, Oh, okay. So you bought me an advent calendar because there's an imaginary dog on it that reminded you of my dog, but there is no dog on it. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't think I want to. So I thought I'd do it. It's a giveaway, and it's really beautiful. The artist, as you can see here, is called Angela Harding. She does these sort of lino cuts. I'll put a link to her website below because she's got lots of really, really beautiful things. It's also three-dimensional, and I won't try and show you, but this fence part will fold out, and so it will sort of stand on a surface. You could hang it up, I guess, if you wanted. You might have to make your own hole or do whatever you want for hanging it. But it's designed to sort of stand up and make a sort of three-dimensional picture, and it's really lovely. So I thought, well, I'd like to do a giveaway for that, but I would like to make it cross-stitchy, and it sort of reminded me. The other thing I really like about this, by the way, well, two things that's very good this year. This year, December the 1st is actually Advent Sunday. So all your Advent calendars will be correct, and you won't be doing Advent before Advent started, and you won't be waiting to start your Advent calendar until after Advent started. This year, all the things align. But also, I don't know if you can see that, this Advent calendar has a day 25, which I really like. And day 25 is the biggest picture, and that, again, I love. It won't be super religious. It may not be religious at all. I wouldn't expect it to be. It'll be within keeping of this sort of, you know, very English wintry landscape, judging by the one that I've had previously. So, you know, maybe there'll be, I don't know, robins or leaves, or it'll be lovely. It'll be lovely. So anyway, so you'll get that. And then I thought, because I wanted to make it cross-stitchy, like I said, it reminded me sort of this chart, which I've sort of been meaning to stitch but haven't. I think it was Somi Sarah who mentioned this designer. She's called Nara X Stitch on Etsy. You should definitely go and check her out. Her designs, I think, are really beautiful and really unusual. And I particularly like her wintry ones. And this one, you are going to get, I think she only sells PDFs. I certainly only know how to buy PDFs. So I'm going to work out how I will legitimately get you this chart, but I will. And you'll get that chart, and then you'll also get this to stitch it on. This is from XG Designs. It's My Little Dove, I think is what the colourway is called. It's this beautiful sort of warm blue. I think it's really lovely. I mean, it's hand-dyed. It is slightly mottled, but not very, which I think is what you want for a Nara X Stitch design. I don't think, I mean, you certainly could stitch them in very mottled fabric and variegated floss, but I think the style that she uses, I'm going to kit this out with the DMC. So you'll get the chart, the floss, the DMC. It's definitely winter rather than Christmas. So there's no obligation. I mean, obviously there's no obligation, but you know, there's no rush to say, oh, I should stitch that in December. Absolutely not. It'd be a lovely thing to stitch in January or February as a sort of winter but not Christmas stitch. Because this is all physical stuff and the calendar itself is quite big, I am only going to send that in the UK. But I thought, well, it's always a bit mean, isn't it, when you listen to someone do a giveaway and you're like, oh, but okay. So what I'm also going to do as a second prize is a £10 Etsy gift card, so that if you are not eligible for the main prize, you're still eligible for that. You can get that anywhere. And if you like, you can get the Nara X Stitch chart yourself and kit it up and do that as well. I have got the chart. I may even stitch it sometime. Who knows? Who knows? So if you would like to have a chance of winning either the sort of Advent calendar and cross-stitch bundle, calendar, chart, floss and fabric, or the £10 Etsy gift card, and I'm not going to check. So yeah, what am I going to do? How am I going to distinguish that? I think if you're international, please could you put in your comment Advent International, and then I'll know you can't win this prize. But if you'd like to be in, the general word to put is Advent. And what I'll do is I'll pick one, And if it just says Advent, you'll win the main prize. If it says Advent International, you'll win the Etsy card. And then I'll pick a second one, and I'll pick until I make sure I get someone who's not international. Does that make sense? So please just use the word Advent. And if you're not in the UK, please use the word international. Happy International Advent. There we go. Advent's very international. Celebrated all over the world. I always wonder, much more than with Christmas really, what it must be like doing Advent in Australia, just because it's such a season associated with me of the sort of drawing in of the days and the darkness and the sort of impending sense of doom and coldness, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, if you're in the southern hemisphere, tell me what Advent feels like for you. Do you really do Advent? I don't know. I'm going to stop now. This is about half an hour. I think the next two will be shorter. I'm going to see if I can edit it and see if I can upload it. And you never know, I might be back quite soon with another Flosstube. Thank you so much. I meant to say this at the beginning. There have been some new subscribers recently, even though there's been no new content for ages. So thank you if that's you, if that's your first time here, or if you've been watching some of my older episodes. I really appreciate it. I'm really sorry I've not been around for ages. There has just been a lot of life this year. But I came back from Stitching On and I was so determined to do it. I filmed, like I say, a really long episode, and then this whole week I just haven't been able to get it uploaded. I really hope this one is. See you soon.